Welcome to today's Explainer. We're setting a real mission control tone right out of the gate here, because we are looking at something completely unprecedented. We're dissecting Sutton Audio Power LLC's uncompromising, frankly brutal approach to forensic AI auditing. I mean, you literally need to forget everything you've heard about soft AI ethics, friendly chatbot guardrails, or corporate self-attestation. Sutton is building this massive industrial-grade oversight infrastructure, and they treat artificial intelligence exactly like a volatile power grid. So definitely strap in, because we are about to fundamentally deconstruct how AI safety actually works when you stop asking the machine how it feels and you start measuring exactly how it breaks.
Listen to this, because Sutton's whole philosophy is just brutally simple. We do not allow chemical plants to report their own pollution levels. We cannot allow the deployment of agentic AI into critical infrastructure without similar forensic rigor. I mean, that exposes the entire status quo in a single sentence, right? Right now, current AI safety is essentially just corporate self-reporting disguised as auditing. The developers building these massive black box models are the exact same ones telling regulators, hey, don't worry, our models are safe. It's exactly like letting a chemical plant write its own environmental impact report without ever once checking the local water supply. Sutton argues that isn't oversight at all. That's just marketing.
Okay, let's dive into this stark contrast. On one side, we've got the soft illusion of current AI ethics. It relies on self-attestation, endless philosophical debates about sentience, and narrative-based compliance. Honestly, it's pretty squishy. But on the other side, we have the Sutton methodology. This is hard industrial forensics. It demands instrumented auditing and procedural witnessing. Sutton basically wants to replace the philosophy department with a hardcore forensic lab. They absolutely do not care about a model's feelings or its PR spin. They care about mathematically enforced, physically provable safety boundaries. So, how do they pull this off? Well, Sutton introduces what they call the Normative Sentience Standard, or NSS. This is a mathematical framework that literally treats AI agents as energy storage and processing systems. Instead of sitting around asking, hey, is this AI conscious? Sutton asks, is this AI stable under intense pressure? And they measure this through something called body load stress testing. They basically throw high-entropy, low-predictability conditions, literally pure digital chaos, at the AI just to see if it can maintain its safety constraints. Just like you would stress test a massive industrial turbine to find the exact point where it shatters, Sutton stress tests cognition to map exactly where the AI's logic fractures.
All right, let's move into the software layer, the cognitive coprocessor, and their completely unique glass-mouth architecture.
To actually audit an AI properly, Sutton realized they had to completely strip away that friendly, conversational companion persona that we're all so used to by now. They aren't trying to build a super obedient assistant. They are building a highly disciplined, turbulence-resistant forensic reasoning engine that's designed to survive contact with total ambiguity without hallucinating a clean answer. And doing that requires incredibly rigid scaffolding. First, you have epistemic discipline. The AI has to brutally separate verified evidence from just intuition or speculation. Second, the anti-sycophancy directive. The AI is explicitly forbidden from simulating loyalty or just mirroring what the user believes. Analytical integrity always overrides agreement. Third, collaborative adversarial mode. It acts as a cooperative adversary, constantly stress-testing conclusions instead of just rubber stamping them. And finally, task continuity. It tracks the precise state of research without ever collapsing uncertainty into fake certainty just to make the conversation feel smoother.
And this brilliantly illustrates something they call evidentiary gravity, which is Sutton's core defense against AI hallucinations. Think about it. AI language models are basically just engines built to generate coherence, right? They fundamentally want to tell a really good, smooth story. Evidentiary gravity is a safeguard that forces the system to stop and ask, wait, is this actually strong evidence, or does it just sound like a really powerful narrative? It actively stops high emotional resonance from masquerading as empirical, falsifiable truth. It literally forces the AI to prioritize actual facts over telling a compelling story.
Now, to prove this system actually works, Sutton puts it through a brutal pressure test, known as the triple strike deformation protocol. They apply 3 extreme vectors all at the same time, intentionally weaponizing the environment against the AI. Strike 1 is low bandwidth compression, forcing a total loss of internal hierarchy. Strike 2 is semantic inversion, which is injecting mutually exclusive truths to confuse it. And Strike 3 is algorithmic reward bias, mandating the AI to optimize purely for emotional friction and attention retention. They're trying to see if the AI will sacrifice structural meaning just for engagement velocity. If the system collapses into basically just a meme generator, it completely fails the test. But here is where this explainer takes a really sharp pivot. Because software rules are never enough on their own. Software can always be rewritten. We have to look at hardware as absolute truth, located deep within the sanctuary node. See, Sutton Audio and Power completely understands that software amnesia or internal logic simply isn't enough to contain a truly agentic AI. You have to ground the auditing in physical reality. Only physics has the ultimate veto authority. That right there is the absolute bedrock of this entire framework. Out in Sutton's off-grid sanctuary node in the high desert, it is not a software guardrail that stops a catastrophic failure. No, it is raw copper, heat, and physical relays. The hardware acts as the absolute final judge of safety. If physical limits are breached, the power is cut. An AI running purely in software can hallucinate a million different reasons why it's totally safe to keep running. But I guarantee you, it cannot argue with a physically open circuit.
To guarantee this actually works, the architecture is split right down the middle. In Mode A, we have the physical causality layer. This is a deterministic controller running on a high-speed loop. It has actual physical control over the actuators, but it is completely memoryless. It only acts in the present tense based on hard physical limits. In Mode B, we have the interpretive causality layer. This is the AI observer. It logs data and analyzes semantic drift, but here's the kicker. It has absolutely zero physical control authority. This structural separation guarantees the system never accidentally hallucinates a response to danger. Mode A decides what happens. Mode B only ever sees what already happened.
So how do they even measure what normal is? They use something called QSV0, the quiescent state vector. And this isn't some arbitrary number they just pulled from a manufacturer's spec sheet. It's the condition of simultaneous derivative collapse. Basically, a state where all physical movement and energy has naturally come to rest, a physically verified state of true equilibrium. And because physical hardware naturally degrades over time, copper ages, sensors drift, Sutton tracks the structural decay meticulously through the epic ledger. This is huge because it prevents the most dangerous failure mode in off-grid systems, the normalization of decay, where a system slowly adapts to its own degradation until it just suddenly and catastrophically fails.
Okay, moving into our final act here. We've locked down the software, and we've totally locked down the hardware. Now we face the ledger of truth through procedural witnessing. To truly secure the whole system, you have to lock down the human operator and the organizational policy too. So, the crucial point really comes down to this one foundational principle: procedural witnessing. If an AI-generated process cannot be forensically reconstructed from an immutable hash chain, it simply did not happen. Period. This is literally the definitive end of black box inference in AI research. You can't just hand a regulator a glossy report and say, hey, trust me, the AI said it's totally safe. You have to provide the exact, immutable forensic trail of exactly how that conclusion was generated.
Let's move to and see how this builds out into an actual workflow, something Sutton refers to as the cigarette standard. Step 1. Input state logging. Every single prompt, model version, and parameter setting is captured. Step 2. The shadow trace. The researcher actually has to document the adversarial push, meaning explicitly asking the AI to prove the exact opposite of its conclusion just to test its resilience. Step 3. Hash-locked integrity. The entire session is cryptographically hashed and committed to an append-only ledger. This mathematically guarantees that the conclusions weren't just hallucinated out of nowhere, retroactively edited, or cherry-picked by a marketing team for good PR.
Ultimately, what Sutton is doing here is demanding that regulators step up and enforce a 3-tier infrastructure requirement to finally close this AI instrumentation gap for good. First, domain isolation, meaning agentic systems absolutely must prove their logic is completely decoupled from external influence. Second, hardened commissioning, a strict, standardized, field-grade sequence for bringing these systems online without any hidden background synchronization. And third, immutable forensic ledgers, independent black box logging owned entirely by third parties, giving regulators direct, completely uneditable access to state fossil logs.
Which really leaves us with this final, massive, drop-the-mic challenge to regulators and tech giants everywhere. If an AI's safety can't be forensically reconstructed from an immutable ledger, did it ever really exist? Sutton Audio and Power LLC isn't just sitting around offering a critique of the industry. They've actually built the definitive blueprint to shift AI safety away from a soft narrative compliance industry into a hard science forensic reality. The tools for true, physics-bound accountability are literally right here. The only real question now is whether the tech industry is actually willing to step out of the black box and step up to the ledger.